Just a 3 minute minute.
Yeah.
You responded to this at council.
All right, it's 7:00. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Roll call. Eric,
Yes.
Andrea, here, Ross,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Nancy, here. Before we get started,
Motion excuse Sarah or?
yes, she's not gonna be here tonight. Bill, would you explain the idea of a committee of whole meeting? The definition of that? I can, but I figured.
It's something that Mike Kreitz came up with a long time before I was involved. It was to give council an opportunity to meet and discuss items as opposed to having 2 monthly meetings. As it was not, in his legal opinion, was not required. If you switch from a council the whole meeting to 2 council meetings every month, the good thing is you can do your readings quicker. Bad things is you don't have time to discuss items that.
So this council, the
You
whole
regularly
meeting
meet.
is, it is open to the public. We just don't have a lot of room back here.
Right.
TV's on out there. It's the time for us to discuss upcoming legislation, things that may be coming up on the meeting in more detail, so that we are prepared for the next meeting. If we have any questions for developers that may be coming in for a presentation, or anything like that, so.
Yeah, how it's
moving
historically
on.
been used, I don't know, but
And
I do know that's
only for council the whole, there's no public comments.
right.
And I think it's so we don't have to follow Robert's rules and can have open discussion instead
Correct. That's one
of
of the
following the pomp and
advantages.
circumstances.
Yes, one of the advantages.
I just want.
It's an organizational meeting.
Well, because in some villages, they might have 10 committees. And isn't that a way for the committees to let the council know before a meeting? You know,
No,
if they have
most
safety
committee
committee-
reports are read at every council meeting if there are formal committees.
Right.
Informal committees report if they meet and when they meet.
Okay.
But as I understand, the original purpose was imparted to me by your former solicitor, Josh. It was just for you all to get organized, ask any questions, come up with any ideas,
Yes.
seek any legislation, seek clarification on legislation, have informal meetings with any developer or builder who has matters before council.
That being said, let's move on to upcoming legislation. We have ordinance 2025-03, an ordinance accepting the final plat of Foxfire subdivision, phase 3, part 3. This will be up for first reading. Is there any discussion, questions on this?
Nothing's changed on that. I mean,
No.
there's no surprise.
Mm-mm.
It's been that way since the day one.
Yeah.
Just the paperwork, council has to approve a resolution or an ordinance, I guess it is, so that they can go ahead and get it recorded.
And then when does that, after that, how long is it till they actually start building that part?
They, and the thing with the final plat, when they do a final plat, the developer cannot sell individual lots until it's been platted and recorded.
Okay.
So sometimes the developer will give us a performance bond, guaranteeing that it'll do it so he can start selling lots prior to council approving a final plat. Other times they wait and they get all the infrastructure in and they come and get a final plat. They don't have to give us a performance bond. It's just our way. This final plat, we're accepting the infrastructure,
Okay.
the water, sewer, that type of stuff.
So this is not something that we need to rush through. It can go for all 3 readings, correct?
You can do it for all 3, but there's really no reason to not go ahead and do it. I mean, you're basically you're accepting what he's already put in the ground. You're not accepting any changes. All that's all been taken care of. The only thing that you're doing is basically accepting the water, the sewer, the infrastructure, and it allows him to start building or start selling lots. If you don't pass it and you take it for 3 readings, which you can, he can't sell anything. You've kind of like tied his hands, and it's like, is there a reason why you're not accepting this now? That's typically what they would ask. In the past, council generally just goes ahead and waives the readings and moves forward with them. But as a reminder, you do have to have
I was
5
just gonna
council
ask.
members to waive a
We're only gonna
reading,
have 4,
and there's only going to be 4, so obviously it won't be waived at the June meeting.
which could cause.
And I won't
issues.
even be at the June week.
That's why.
Yeah, you
You
won't
or
be there,
Sarah.
and Sarah won't be there, so
that
you
may cause a
can't waive the
problem.
readings.
Just making sure so that everybody knows. I ask questions, not because I don't know, it's because others don't know. Just stating.
Next one is resolution 15-2025, a resolution approving the development plan application for Foxfire subdivision phase 4, parts 1, 2, and 3. First reading.
Everything's in the
Basically-
application. It was supposed to
It's
be-
the same.
The same.
It's
Same
just for phase 4. Yeah.
Well, I just want to make sure they had everything in the application.
Yeah, and that's typically where you will want to ask the engineer at the meeting, hey, are you good with this? And
Yeah.
find out if the engineer's okay, if she is.
I believe she told us at the last meeting that she had looked at this already and everything appeared to be
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Okay, resolution 16-2025, a resolution approving the major site plan application for Genland LLC on behalf of K-Nova as to lot 12 and the Rickenbacker Exchange Part 3 development. This is also first reading.
So I know with that one, everybody was kind of honing in on the part that sits north, that's going to be the storage area. You know, how are we going to want to do screening? How, you know, because they don't know what it is. I mean, it could be a lumber place where it's going to be dimensional lumber stored. You know, that's something we need to really think about on this one. You know, but if we ask for too much, it could make that undevelopable, you know, with too much mounding and such as you come. But it's that far northern spot that's going to be I can't remember what they say, a holding area or storage area or
An
something.
outdoor
storage
Outdoor
area.
storage. So, I mean, I don't know how that plays in, but I mean, this is where we would have to get a good idea for what we want to do moving forward, right, Mayor? I mean,
And I spoke with Bruce and he had looked at this and noticed that on the far west side, they weren't showing any screening. The engineers are working on it. There may be an easement like we did with Bath and Body with utilities and stuff before we did mounding and everything there that might be coming up. And they're just curious as to what type of screening we may want. Do we want mounds with trees on it? Do we want, you know?
The most blockage, the better, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
The mounds
I'll
of
bring
trees.
it up because I saw an email where somebody had already mentioned that, you know, the screening on one of the other areas in Rickenbacker wasn't as nice as it was proposed to be. So apparently like some trees have died and they weren't taken care of. So I don't know if our zoning should be looking at that, but we need to make sure that we're keeping up on trees and making sure this is as dense as possible, because I guess it was changed from the last time, the one that was already complained about, one of the ones at the Rickenbacker Exchange.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that, you know, most of the residents that I've listened to online, I don't reply, but I do read every comment, and they all like having more dense trees around the Rickenbacker Exchange area. So I just want to make sure it's noted that Andrea would like as many trees as possible, and if they die, please tell them to fix it.
Replace it,
I mean, I know we can say how big a tree they have to start with, up to a certain diameter. Is
I
that
remember
something we need
Last
to look
time,
at?
there was something with the power lines. Do you remember?
Right.
That's
Mayor?
another thing
They-
too,
we
yeah,
had, there was only certain trees they would
Yeah.
allow them to plant there.
that makes
because
sense.
We was encroaching into a South Central Power easement, I believe is what the
makes
thing
sense.
was, and there was a limit on what type of tree could go in there.
Yeah.
I mean, a 40-year tree is still young, so, I mean, we put in a 2-year tree, it's not gonna do much, so,
Right.
I mean, we don't want 50-foot mounds, but, I mean, we gotta remember, that is a state route. So, I mean, there's gonna be,
Putting mounds with trees on it's not bad. When you look down 23,
Right.
that's good all the way down.
well, yeah, especially up by like, the Racino and stuff. I mean, those mounds are still aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
And over
Well,
by the
you've-
Shelley, the
you've got-
Shelley place.
Yeah.
You can't even see it.
No.
You've
But-
got to be careful out there putting the mounds in because there's a 50-foot easement,
Yeah,
something like that, where you've got gas line,
Yeah.
electric, water, so you got all that in there. And if you mound another 4 or 5 feet of dirt on top of it, if something goes wrong, now you've got a major issue. You're gonna be hauling dirt for days just to fix a problem or to try to locate a problem.
Or if there's a crash and diesel fuel or anything goes in it, now they gotta mitigate the entire amount.
Well-
But I just brought it up.
But yeah,
because that
it's-
outdoor storage is gonna be a thorn, possibly for the residents that live across the street. So everybody probably just needs to think of how can we get ahead of that in the process instead of chasing it. You know, because I think we all received at least one or two emails about this project, another project about screening.
Yeah,
So I would just like to get ahead of that. I don't know, Mayor, is there anything that, I mean, maybe you can ask our engineer in that area ahead of the meeting, or what's the best?
The biggest thing to do is when the developer comes in and he wants this major site plan, that's where council's point is to ask. I mean, what's in the zoning code, he's required to do so many trees
Right.
and so much certain type of mounding. As long as they follow the code, they're legit.
Right.
Well, that's, I
So
believe
that's why you
why-
might want to talk with them and
Yeah.
say, hey, we would like a little extra. And this would be the time for the council to talk to the developer at that point.
And I believe after, Bruce up there hears our concerns, they're going to bring back something that's gonna show kind of what we're wanting at the next meeting, so we'll see what,
at the June
Yeah.
June 2nd meeting.
so.
Well, it'll be discussed, but it won't be voted on.
No.
Okay,
Right.
perfect. Just making sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, next is resolution 17-2025. A resolution of authorizing and directing the mayor of the village of Commercial Point to enter into a community reinvestment area partial assignment and assumption agreement between K-Nova and Gen Land LLC for the assignment of the K-Nova CRA agreement as to Lot 12 and Rickenbacker Exchange Part 3 and declaring an emergency.
And
First reading.
That can't be waived,
No.
so they're gonna have to wait.
This is not a new TIF or CRA. This is simply just reassigning it to the new owner. It's just paperwork. So it's nothing new. So I wanted to make sure everybody out there is aware of that. We've done them a million times. So that's what this is pertaining to.
It only says partial assignment because it's just lot 12, right?
Yeah. Okay, so pretty much the same thing on resolution 18-2025. A resolution authorizing and directing the mayor of the village of Commercial Point to enter into a partial assignment assumption agreement, TIP agreement between K-Nova and Gen Land LLC for the assignment of the K-Nova TIP agreement as to Lot 12 and Rickenbacker Exchange, Part 3, declaring an emergency.
Just flipping it over to the new owner, right?
New owner, same thing. Okay. The next thing we have coming up is the DR Horton site plan and discussion.
Which is the townhomes, not
The
the dirt
townhomes,
road.
yes, no, yeah. These are the proposed townhomes off of 104, behind Foxfire.
South of Foxfire.
So he sent us some things. Now, I believe if I did my math right, which I'm not sure, I tried, Ross, that they're right under
And that's,
what the diversity,
No, it's still 7.3.
Well-
Their thing says it is. The paper they gave us is different.
oh yeah, we're 7.29.
I mean, they,
Well, wait a minute, I thought it could be 7.3, and they have 7.29. Is
is
it the opposite of what I wrote down?
I mean, they addressed
And
our,
that's because they
our
went to
6
4
units
units.
versus 4. They took the first section, the first 2 sections out and then divided the other ones. I mean, I think it would have been more advantageous for them to just take all of those out.
Like even
towards
around here?
Foxfire.
That's what I think too. I had
I
it
mean-
circled, to take all of that on the corner out. That way
It'd be
it's just,
12 more homes.
Where is that at? Can you show me on yours so I can see what,
Uh,
where?
Right
Oh,
up here.
there. Okay, that's the part that's against.
yeah, because
Okay.
Foxfire is right up here.
So you're thinking you wanna ask them to take out which ones? The ones that sit
Girls'
exactly
Best.
against the mound?
Do you
She's
have?
got it.
Oh, you got one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right here around this corner right here.
Oh, all 6 of those?
Yeah.
Okay. Or I'm sorry.
No, there's more.
12.
12, my bad.
It's 3 buildings,
3
3, 4
sets
units.
of-
You don't
Yeah.
think we can leave the one on the corner in there?
It would depend, I mean, if that,
I think it would look odd if you had one in the corner and you didn't, I think it would look odd.
I just figured there'd be some nice lots.
Well, that
People
brings
want
up one of
space.
the emails that I saw and received is that, people are concerned, all that stretch of housing, Foxfire, making sure that they have enough of a buffer
Yeah.
between the sub.
I see they're
between the
having
areas.
mounding and tree buffer.
And they also increased the buffer from 40 feet to 75 feet.
Okay.
That's a
Yeah,
huge
huge.
buffer.
Okay,
I mean, that is,
yeah. Do we get?
if you have 75 feet, plus you have mounds, plus you have trees,
That
That's
should
a lot.
be,
That is a-
Yeah, I'm not gonna see anything.
how big a ask would it be to move the retention pond to the north instead of the south?
that,
that's a good idea.
that is probably dictated by the lay of the land.
It is,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would have been the ideal place for
Yeah.
it, but I'm guessing everything
Oh,
lays,
slopes down.
slopes the other
Yeah.
direction.
Okay, that's cool, that's cool.
Then it looks like the only way they enter in is off of 104 in the back, and then it's
No, there's two.
Well, they
right
enter
in,
the
right
north.
out. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
enter, this is,
So they can enter both ways, but only from the southbound side. And
Yeah.
Only going northbound, they can only enter at the north end, straight
So-
across from the parkway.
Is that, so with that being said, I just saw this week that there was a fatal accident over at Southern Point, and they have an entrance just like this.
Yeah, the lady ran the
And-
stop sign
yeah, I
in front
know.
of her truck.
And yeah, and that was her own neglectful decision. However, there are lots of accidents there, and there's lots of people that almost have accidents, and they're doing a whole thing about getting a traffic light. Are we gonna have a traffic study for this to make sure that we don't need any kind of a traffic light, or?
A traffic
Somebody
study, a traffic study is not required for how they're wanting to rezone this. So a traffic study is not required, but they have to work with ODOT. And ODOT's going to have the final say in what they can and cannot do. Now, are they going to require a traffic light? Probably not. They didn't require one for Foxfire. In Foxfire, you got 400 homes.
Right.
Okay, I
So
just wanted to put the
that's-
question out there.
that's kind of like the big thing is, that's what you're looking with that. The other thing, if you notice on like the list of things that they came up with, they've added an extra, 5 feet between all the buildings.
Yes.
You've got 25 feet between buildings. In most subdivisions, you have 10 between houses.
Okay.
So if you look, this thing is going to look stretched out.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just some of the things that they have done there where they're trying to do stuff.
Now, I didn't understand reducing the setback on 104, though. That one.
They had to, and I think that was just because of the setback, the way everything kind of shifted. They had to kind of
Move it closer to
move a little closer to 104.
Are they gonna put a turn lane in then? Would ODOT require that?
I don't know. I would guess probably ODOT
Is there-
probably would require a turn lane
I don't
going in
remember, is
there.
there a turn lane to go into that road of the
There's
warehouse? Is that the one?
there's a turn lane going into the warehouses and acceleration lane when you come out.
Yeah.
There's a turn lane going into Foxfire when
Yeah.
you're heading southbound. So I would be very surprised if they did not require some type of turn lane going into here for
And they,
southbound. But
when they talked to us, they still did not know if they were definitely going to get both access points.
that was,
They hadn't gone there yet, so they may only get the one in and out, and not the.
I think
right and
they've
left.
had brief discussions with ODOT since they've put this out. So yeah, it's like I said, between spreading out the buildings a little bit, and also I think it's huge back there where they back up against the houses there at on the north side. By increasing that like they did, that's a big area.
Yeah, and I mean, yes, those are 2-story homes, but I mean, you have a 2-story home, you're going to see things. So we there's no way we could make somebody shield a 2-story home from seeing somebody that's 150 feet away. It just can't happen. I mean, the data centers are going to be the same thing. When we were talking with them, everybody wanted us to have 50-foot mounds with 75 feet trees or something. It just can't happen. But I mean, I think they made at least a positive move, towards even almost coming into our numbers.
And as far as with those numbers, I pulled up part of and if you want to look in our planning and zoning code it's all listed under 117303. and you will see where council has the ability to negotiate development standards.
Mhm.
And part of the standards are the density. So it is negotiable, whatever you guys want to do, but this is the time where you would be, kind of formulate your plan here of how you want to move forward. Are you good with this? Are you not?
I just worry about it being another 220 cars potentially going up and down 104 and turning in. That's,
Yeah.
It's
I
just
mean,
a
I like
lot.
what they did with the buffering, and especially if they take those out, but the traffic, without them having to do a traffic study kind of worries me.
Well, I mean, I believe that vicarious liability is gonna have to fall on ODOT, because that's still gonna be a state route.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I know we kind of tongue in cheek say, everybody stay in your lane. I think that's one of those that if we start worried about that, we're getting into ODOT's lane. And I mean, if we let them know we have a concern, during the process, then they can absolutely, I'm sure, share their, what their thoughts are long-term for that area. I mean, I've heard scuttlebutt of, 762 and 104, maybe going roundabout sometime and all that. I mean, that would definitely slow everybody down. But, I mean, I don't know if that's something that, we could say to ODOT, hey, we have concerns here. When you look at this, can you send us something that says, what your thoughts are? I mean, does that sound out of line, Alan? Or?
That's, like I said, I'm not going to speak for ODOT or what
Well,
they're
that's what I
going to
mean.
say or anything. It's this basically gets into the point, since it's not a site plan, they'd have to just basically follow our code. And since they're trying to do the rezoning and so forth, that's where they kind of negotiate with the council, I don't know. Wait a minute. Let me back up a minute. They are wanting to go to planned
Correct.
a PRD.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's what I was
We
thinking
control everything.
a traffic study will be required for this. If
That's
it's
what I
a,
was. That's what I was
yeah, if it
thinking.
is, if it's a site plan, they are required to do a traffic study. So a traffic study will be required. ODOT would then basically tell them, okay, here's what you're looking at as far as traffic signals, so on and so forth. If you have one, you're required. If not, your turn lanes, your acceleration lanes, if required, and all of that. So that would all come out in the traffic study. And this, I was thinking they wasn't going this direction, but if they go to a planned residential district, this is what would be required. As a part of that would be a traffic study.
Now, did we figure out how the whole TIF CRA thing's going to work on a home, on a sellable home?
The CRA
How does that?
is only for commercial.
And I was looking through and I was wanting to get with Bill on that just to double check that.
Yeah, because that's.
Yeah, I
that's
don't like the
CRA.
I don't know how that will.
The original CRA agreement with Bill Scala, which is what this would fall under, that's where you want to check. But I believe that is strictly, if my interpretation from what I was reading this past or last week about it, it appears that it's for commercial property only.
But them and Billy's attorney stated that this would be under that. So
Well, and that's why
yeah, I mean that's definitely a question. that
it'll
I wanna get
ultimately
before we move.
it'll ultimately fall on Bill's decision on
Yeah,
this, and he'll
fine.
probably have to.
Yeah, I mean that, I think that's
Research
something all of us are wondering how that's gonna work.
Yeah.
I mean, because that could be a big cost savings to the people that purchase these, and a windfall to the developer or builder, and leaving kind of the village out to dry.
Yeah.
Well, it's whichever way. I mean, this is in the CRA district. I don't think that decision should have anything to do with, we're looking at the zoning and the design of this.
But but that could be a difference for us saying, no, we don't even want this here. We want commercial.
That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna get to, this, I think this.
Do you
might
want
just be
commercial
too
backed up
cluttered.
against these homes here?
That
Well,
was-
with the right
originally-
buffer and the gas station right
originally
next to it.
Came in as
Yep.
R1.
That's right. That did come in as R1.
What's this did?
R1.
Yep.
Okay.
Residential.
You're right. That section did that, and where 104 and Durrett Road.
Oh, because it came in next to Foxfire, so that's what residential.
They was both, everything on this side of the road was zoned for
Yep.
residential
Yep.
originally.
So if it stays residential, can't we just not do something this dense of population and just have larger lots for houses?
You're the council, you can do whatever you want, but once, like we discussed before, if you want to try to sell single family homes with warehouses across the street, a gas station next door to you,
They're already selling in Foxfire, so it would be Foxfire type houses,
And
but
we
with
haven't gotten
larger
anything about
lots.
the gas station. We haven't heard anything else from
Uh-uh.
them, so I don't really.
I don't know, I
Put that in.
personally, I don't like this much of housing going in.
Yeah.
There's so much going on right now, I'm not okay with that, and that's just my opinion.
I agree.
Can I ask, Andrea, what number per lot would you be okay with? How many homes per acre would you be okay with?
How many acres is that, 21?
I mean, 4, 5, 6, 2?
Per acre.
1 acre lots. I mean.
well, this is
there's-
already zoned R1, so
So
you
what's
need to
that?
look at the R1 zoning.
Right.
You need to do your homework and look that stuff up,
Right.
because they could come in and build per R1 and not bring anything in front of you whatsoever.
Correct. Which is, no, not there. It's, what is it, Chestnut? Was Chestnut one?
How many is that?
No, Chestnut was a PRD.
It's 4, I believe.
4
I
per
believe
acre?
4 is R1.
Per
So
acre.
if
Yeah,
it's
4
4
per
per acre, so 4 times 21, 2, 4, 6, 8, maybe,
Well, it's 4 per net developable acre, so there's other things, but yeah, I mean, you're looking at 75, 80.
okay, that's still half of that. Honestly, I am personally for the lowest that you can go. The fewest that you can go within what it is and the limits, that's all that I'm okay with. That's just me. There's too much right now, in my opinion. And we don't have to agree. We can have different opinions.
Right.
I'll still high five you outside. I won't hate you. Except you, Ross. No high fives for you.
All right, the next thing we have up is the Dora District. Everybody had a chance to look through this. Mayor gave us last time.
Thank you for putting that together, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Just as a update on that, the process is that in a village, the mayor is required to file the application, which was filed with the council at the last meeting on the 5th of May. Once the application is filed, we have to publish something in the local newspaper within 45 days. That has been published in the paper. It was published on May 17th. And there's a notification in the paper that if anyone wishes to view the application, they can come in the office and view it during regular hours. It also states that there is a public hearing scheduled, and the public hearing is scheduled for 6:45 on June the 2nd. That's 15 minutes prior to our next council meeting, regular council meeting.
And we can have a public hearing before, correct?
What?
We can have a public hearing just 4 hours, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, 'cause we don't vote.
Just making sure.
Yeah, it's just strictly a time for the public to come in and speak. That, and like I said, the public hearing has to be scheduled within 45 days of the application, so we've met that requirement. The next thing after the public hearing, and then you've got a window of not earlier than 30 days, but not later than 60 days after the public hearing, council must make a decision. And that sets it up to make a decision on July the 7th.
Right.
Readings will have to be waived. Once again, this is one of them windows that the state is requiring. You have to do it within this amount of time, and you basically can't do it unless you do waive readings.
And this will be the second reading. 'Cause
It
we
would-
have it on our
It would
regular.
theoretically
Yeah.
be the second reading of it, because we would go ahead and do a first reading on the.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would basically have to be voted on July the 7th. And my question, I know this thing came up and we can discuss it later. I was just thinking if council does this, does the second reading, makes a decision, does council have to do this as an emergency measure so it's effective within that window, or can council just pass it and it takes 30 days to take effect? Or is it a council choice?
I mean, if you're gonna do less than 3 readings, it has to be by emergency vote, my understanding,
It has
if
to
that's what
be.
you're asking. How else are you gonna pass it without 3 readings? You're gonna waive
But
a
it
reading.
doesn't-
We'd waive the
Wouldn't be
reading.
emergency
The
language. though.
emergency language, we could still pass it.
I'm talking
just-
the emergency language, which
Yeah.
means it takes effect immediately as opposed to 30 days after it's passed. I realize
Well-
we have to waive the thing, but
Yeah, you're gonna waive it, but you're still gonna, without the emergency, anyone could appeal within 30 days. And if you're gonna have an event within that 30 days, you'd want the
emergency
30-day appeal to run as quickly as possible. Otherwise, you might not have the DORA for the bike night.
I just need emergency language.
Well, and even if we missed the first one, it would still be, no, it wouldn't.
No, it'd be
It'd be August.
Would the, I guess then, and council doesn't have to decide, well, yeah, you kind of do have to decide tonight. If we're going to do a first reading on this, does council want emergency language in the ordinance? In the legislation? Because like I said, we're going to do, if we're going to do a first
And it-
reading,
Just so we're all clear, you're talking about health, safety, and welfare. You're having an event. You don't know how many people are going to come. You've got historical numbers when it was down in Obetz that it was between 400 and 600 bikes
Correct.
coming into town.
And they're saying we should expect 200 is what OBEX's guess is.
So as a matter of health, safety, and welfare, if you want these people confined in one area drinking and you want to close the streets, you have to take into your vote the fact that you're doing something for public health, safety, and welfare, i.e. people are going to be walking around drinking and you want it controlled. And you're either going to control it through a DORA or you're going to force the local bars to get a 1-day special permit, which will allow them to sell outside. And I don't know if they're capable or if they want to do that quickly.
Well, we already approved the street closure, so
We'll probably have-
that would, somebody's gonna,
Right, but if you want to have everybody wearing that same cup or the same badge or however you're going to do it, I'm just saying health, safety, and welfare is one of the reasons for emergency legislation.
And we need to come up with all of that in the meantime, what we'll expect, what color cup, what it has to say, what are the hours. So, I mean,
just,
does that fall on you?
that would fall,
Administration, or
that
fall
would,
on
that
us?
would be in the legislation. You have to outline, I believe.
How it typically is a cup, either a branded cup or a cup with a medallion on it that says that it was purchased at one of the 2 authorized establishments. And if you have another cup or you're drinking your own stuff,
In fact, it says here ORC, and they quote it, a requirement that beer and intoxicating liquor be served in some sort of plastic bottle or other non-glass container within the DORA. So that has to be part of the legislation that would be passed. So you outline what you're going to have, and like I said, all that stuff would fall into the
thought we were gonna
legislation.
require cups.
It would be my recommendation to
Yeah,
do
I would-
a certain type of clear plastic cup
Yes,
with the stating that it's a
Yeah.
door.
You can't bring your own liquor, is that correct?
Correct.
no.
I mean, theoretically, you could if you had a Dora cup and you poured
Okay.
liquor in it.
All right.
I mean, don't get caught doing that.
Well, let's
We're
not recommend they do
No,
that.
I
Yeah, do not do that.
I'm just saying that. I mean,
Ross?
Never been in the door.
Also, the one on the page 3, can we change that to where it says the DORA will primarily be used for special events? Can we just take the word
Only.
out primarily? We just take that word out because we're only using this for special events.
So they're gonna have to fill out an application to get it, so.
But it still would be good to have
Yes.
it in there as,
Because that was our
That is it.
discussion.
It's
We would
official.
only have it at events.
And that language can show up in the legislation.
And it says, routine patrols to enforce responsibility. Eric, I thought you had brought up, and I
Well, we had talked about it in the application where the
They pay for special duty?
Yeah, the chief will
Yeah.
have to sign off on what he thinks it needs to be if they're checking the Dora box.
So they would be paying for the special duty.
Yes.
Good, because that was another thing I wanted
Yeah.
to make sure was outlined. We shouldn't have to do that.
No.
Good.
Are you okay with that, Mayor? 'Cause I know you don't-
That's council decision.
No,
Well,
I-
it
If-
is, but I know you're not a special duty fan.
Well, it won't be special duty. It'll be overtime for the officers, not special duty. You're gonna have,
And they'll reimburse the village then?
That would be.
that all
outlined
has,
in
that
there.
all becomes part of the process.
Mhm.
And that's if they check the box and then we would have somebody look at it for the size of the event and what amenities we want them to have, be that extra dumpsters or whatever, and then the chief, and once they sign off on it, it would come to us.
And I think that's in
Right.
here about the dumpsters and stuff.
That's why it's kind of set up so each event is coming to you.
Right.
Council has the authority to demand whatever they want for each separate event. If you think an event needs officers and you want to charge the person, you can. If you don't, that's your choice. If you think they need dumpsters for the event, that's your choice. But each event is an
Right.
individual case by case.
And-
Which it's not like we're saying, okay, every event's going to be this. It's not a one size fits all. And since we would only be doing this when there's a special event, they're going to be in front of the council anyway.
That
And
makes
that's the
sense.
primary place to be to work those things out. I wouldn't lock everything into legislation. I would allow you to do that on an individual basis.
But each week is
That
gonna be a
makes
different
sense.
event, correct, with the bar? Because I mean, if we find out something the first week that we didn't,
Yes, each
Yeah,
day would be a
They
separate.
I
would,
would
they
want
would
that.
no, you passed their
Has the
street closure as one
Mhm.
event.
But we didn't pass the Dora as one event. So we're gonna have to approve the Dora for this. We can't just attach it.
It would have to be, the door would have to be approved for this, yes.
So we could at that point tell them what we need for it to be a Dora.
yeah, but I'm saying,
And then
second event into it, we find out we didn't have everything we needed.
it's my understanding that we can take approval away just as fast as we
Okay.
gave it.
Is that true?
By vote?
Okay.
Okay.
So. if
But
we-
you got to realize you won't have a meeting between
Yeah,
events.
we would have to be a
if
special
if we
meeting.
all feel for safety and welfare, if three of us feel that way, then we would have to call a meeting and vote to take it away.
We can also give the discretionary power to the chief to negotiate the
Oh, you can't?
terms and conditions, or to Alan, on a rotating basis.
That's my biggest concern.
The bars they're gonna work with you after the first
Absolutely.
event, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they're gonna
They wanna
know,
protect-
okay,
it's
we
protecting
need
them
more of
just as
this,
much
we
as
need
us.
less of that. So
Yeah. it's
you can just
protecting
write it
them.
into the legislation that any administrative, health, safety, welfare items are left to the discretion of the mayor and the permit holders. Boom. And it's in the legislation. Because you're gonna have hiccups.
Yeah.
Until it's a smooth running operation. It's
And
just
now
gonna
it's
happen.
all on Alan.
Well,
If,
it's all on
if
him
he's
to-
here,
it's all on him for us to vote.
Now, do we decide the hours as the applications come in?
Yep.
Okay,
you would
Yeah.
set the times for the event,
okay.
the hours and everything.
And all
Which,
the special things that you check.
and
off
that's
as
why
well.
I
Okay.
think it's good having them come in. Basically, they're going to have to, I won't say supply a event plan, but that's kind of what they're
Yeah,
going to be
yeah.
doing.
I mean,
Yeah, that's kind of where we're going with this.
Yeah.
And that would be, I think, the best way to do this.
Well, yeah, because it's health, safety, and wellness.
And
You should.
I have an event plan drawn up for that
Huh?
ordinance that I brought up.
Whatever. Welfare, wellness. It's being well.
Okay. Now we're on.
So did council ever tell me, do you want
Yes,
emergency
please.
language included with this?
I think
Yes,
it's,
because
I think it's the
Health,
best.
safety, and welfare.
Okay,
I think it's the best. Well, honestly, I think it's the other way to do it.
okay.
So wait a minute. Bill, it would take effect immediately, but it could still be appealed within 30
You
days.
still have a 30-day appeal.
Okay. Don't
And
know why
just noting, I saw a poll out on social media, and the majority of folks taking that poll, they were okay with the Dora. Just because, everybody has different opinions, this is a health, safety, and welfare type precaution. So we're taking care of people. So that's official. It's so weird hearing myself echo in the background. Anyhow.
Now, additional business, Andrea,
Okay.
I know you had.
Yeah, so I addressed one of the things earlier, it was the DR Horton, somebody had emailed, about that. And I already stated my opinion, so I think that's that. Someone else emailed in and talked about, a trip they took to Tennessee and saw speed cushions. And I looked at the link because of the whole issue at Chestnut Commons that was brought up the last time. I'm a huge proponent for safety in, the neighborhoods. And I thought it was cool, but in talking to the mayor a little bit and a couple other people, I'm not putting out, you're not in trouble. Snow removal. You were in the room here, I was chatting. Snow removal is hard with speed bumps and that kind of stuff. Or maybe it wasn't you, Mayor, somebody else. A male, I was talking to a guy. Anyway, so it really sucks that that's not something that we're gonna be able to do. Cause I feel for them. I mean, again, I have a lot of people running fast. The mayor already stated you can put officers there, but as soon as they leave, people will start zooming again. And I know a lot of people are passionate about snow removal. I am. I like a nice clean road in the winter. You can't really do that with speed bumps very well through there. So I think it was a great idea. I love it, but I don't think it'll work for a neighborhood. So if people want to continue sending in their ideas, please do so, and we can vet it out. Unfortunately, I don't think we can. Did you have any other ideas, Nancy, or did that kind of cover that?
Well, I can tell you they have written a couple of violations in that area since the last meeting.
Well, that's good. I like that.
I just know we used to have a speed bump back here in West.
Uh,
And it got totally taken out by a snowplow. I mean,
yeah.
it was gone. I was
Done very well.
glad because it was right in front of my driveway. But
Yeah.
yeah, they just took it out. So that's the
Oh.
important. And especially these, they're probably a little pricey
Well, for
compared to like
for me personally, I don't put a price on safety.
But I'm saying
But
if you're gonna fall apart.
If you're
you know?
gonna fall apart, yes, I don't want to invest in something that's gonna fall apart and have a ton of
Yeah.
money. So awesome idea. Please
Could
keep
everybody
sending
just
in
drive to them
ideas.
like they did, like an emergency vehicle, we did the same thing, right? Isn't that what they were for the emergency vehicles? So that they
What?
could drive through without the emergency vehicles bouncing up and down those
Yeah,
different
it's,
pads.
because it's rubber, it's longer wheelbase.
Well, they had brakes between them
Yeah,
so that they could strap them. Okay, well, if that's the case, after the second or third time I'm down that road, I'm gonna start straddling them.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the problem with those, so.
Yeah, well, A for effort, community. Keep sending in ideas. We'll consider them. That was the only things that I had. I just want to make sure that people in the audience know that your emails are read. I see them and I am making sure to bring them up.
Okay, I had a couple things. The first is the NCA. Now, I've been asking for a while if we could start one of these. So I believe, and talking to the mayor today, it would be a good idea to bring, what's his name again?
We can either bring Mike Dean in or Caleb Bell.
Okay. One of those in and maybe have a special meeting for them to go over TIFs, CRAs, NCAs. So everybody, and it could be out there. So we can completely understand and maybe guide us into how we can start our own NCA. So I didn't know what everybody thought about that.
I think it'd be a good idea to have them come in here and explain this stuff to us and have
Yeah.
in a regular meeting so that they explain it to everybody. that's
Well, it
watching.
could be in a special meeting too. We could have it out
Yeah,
there.
well, yeah, we just
Yeah.
need to make sure
But
it's
those would
televised.
be the only things on the agenda.
Yeah, you call a special meeting, you do one topic, put it out there, let them come in and do a complete presentation on
I think
everything.
it's a good idea.
I mean, Mike Dean, I believe, did one in here
He did.
a couple years ago.
Yes, he did.
It was probably before you two were on.
It was.
And it just that makes it nice, just kind of bring everyone up to speed and kind of explain the differences and advantages and disadvantages of them.
Can also be at a retreat. Doesn't have to be at a council meeting.
Well, we want to keep everybody.
I know,
You know,
but
if
it's,
people have
if you're
questions-
asking someone for legal advice and you're in a retreat setting where council's getting education on certain development standards and certain banking issues, You can always do that at a retreat. I'm just saying, you don't have to meet at a council meeting. You can announce a retreat, have that as a public meeting if someone chooses to go, so that it's open. But I'm saying you can do it outside of having to pass all the legislation and do the public hearings and all the other stuff that you have to do in a council meeting.
So what do you guys think? I mean, I think this, of course, Mayor would have to see when Mike or Caleb were available, but, maybe some time in.
I requested it in the council meeting, so my feelings none. But I want somebody to come in for the NCA.
So as soon as we can get with their schedules and get a few dates, then.
Okay.
Okay. The next thing, I know it's not on here, but we all got the construction bill for the walk path.
Mhm.
$250,000 to go over a small creek.
Is there a chance that we get a grant for this or part of it? That's
Well,
an 80/20
If we
deal?
changed it, they won't do, well, they do have sidewalk grants, so I mean, I guess that's something we can have her look into. I mean, we're not
If
gonna,
we were connecting something like
Yeah.
a school or something, then there's all kinds of grants. I mean, for that much money, we could probably do one to connect Chestnut to
Hope
to the school.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's TIF monies available. There's safer path to schools. That would connect a lot more of the village for that much money.
I think this is something that, well, this is the next point to get to the next point.
Where are we going after that, though, Nancy? We can't go through Genoa anymore. There's nowhere to go. There's no pathway through Genoa now. If we had done this before all those houses were built, we could have taken the one lot, yes. But now there's
Well, I
not.
couldn't get anybody moving on it.
Well, I mean, now that's $750,000
I can only request,
for a path
so
to
many
nowhere.
times for John Gross to give me something, and it took 2 years to get it done. So, I know that Susan had discussed, the best part would be to go up through Genoa. But
To your point, you can leave it on the shelf and wait for an application that comes available for public funding of bike paths, walkways, etc.
that's why I think if she could start now on some grants, I mean, it may take a year or whatever, but at least,
That's less for us. to
we have this.
Right.
Now I know that,
And it's good to have the plan on the shelf if and when the grants become available. I don't think you're going to see much government funding for the next 2
Yeah.
years.
Do you have anything that connects the rest of the subdivisions together? We started on any kind of plan about that?
it's in the drawer. It's in the drawer.
Can we get any grants for those?
Yes,
Right,
there are.
grants.
What?
There are.
Why it'd be nice to have someone
But right
time
now,
that could do things like
but
that.
right now, it's all based on the schools and all that. Most of the grants are to help schools alleviate transportation needs. And,
There's no way we can do, I mean, I know you have an idea of how to get the path from there to the school, but that's not really eminent domain. I mean, that's,
absolutely is.
I don't know if we wanna.
Is Susan, should we be paying Susan to look for grants for us?
Susan does look for grants. She makes you aware, and you can always ask her when she stands up with the price. Are there any grants available? That's what your engineer's for.
I'll message her
Okay.
and see.
Between she and John, they should be aware of all the state, county, and federal grants that are available for walkways. Bike
Speaking
paths.
of, John, do we know anything about when the Walker Point crap is gonna get picked up?
Yeah, it's still there. I saw. it.
Yeah. All that,
I have it on my list under additional business.
oh,
When
good,
she's done with her list, I'll
Okay,
start mine.
thank you. Well, Nancy, are you
Oh,
done?
wait a minute. Are you
I'm
done?
almost done.
Jeez.
I wanted to see where we were at, Mayor, with our website. It would be nice to get that updated and maybe have, somewhere where they could click and read I think Eric said something about the ordinance and stuff so people could read it. But I didn't know where we were at in that. I just feel like we're paying them this money and we're not getting anything for it.
Who are we
The IT
paying money?
place, the
The-
contract we have.
We are not paying them for a website. Wendy,
We're just paying them for our email addresses.
we
And
are,
the domain for the website.
We do that, pay a domain as well.
but
Yes.
that's,
Well, what about the
that
cloud?
goes
Where's
to-
that coming from?
The cloud's just storage.
Yeah,
That
but
just
are,
stores
do
your
we have
files.
that?
We do have that. We are storing
It's all
our emails
done?
and stuff, yes.
Okay.
done?
Then-
No, it's set up. Is
Right.
it got everything in it? No, because Wendy and I actually had a discussion about that today. And we may need to bring somebody in. I don't know if you want to call it an internship or something, to bring somebody in here and pay them a little something to start uploading all of this stuff into the cloud. We've got some stuff. I was trying to do it. I don't have time to do it.
Then you shouldn't.
No.
And if we could possibly bring somebody in who could
How long,
Do
would
that.
we- how long would we need that person for?
probably 2 or 3 months, maybe,
That's a short-term contract. That's easy.
or something to that effect, to bring somebody in and just have them, hey, this is what we're looking at doing. Get the stuff uploaded. The game plan originally was, let's get it uploaded into the cloud, and then let's bring in Paul and the group that does all of our emails and our licensing for computers, and let them set up a website or see what they have to offer, and kind of tie everything together.
Okay, that's why I
Can
thought they were
we-
doing a website, because I know you,
Yeah, that was
Discuss
it,
that.
but we have
So-
we've hit a snag. I think we pulled something up today, and the last time I was on there uploading something was in 2023.
So
Slow
having
and
the,
steady.
the website doesn't have to be done at the same time, or I'm sorry, it doesn't have to be done after the upload. We could do that at the same time. So is there a way that you could have them come in and show us what
But
we
doing
have?
we can have them come in and give council a demonstration of what they can do or something if you want to look at
That
it
would
that
be
close or it's that's where we're at with the thing. Like I said, it's basically been sitting for 2 years.
I mean, there are some prepackaged things that are made for school boards and stuff, but it works for our kind of stuff as well. We can just buy the packet. And
Right now, the public does have access to our ordinances and our
Yeah.
well, I
the
mean,
ordinances,
just
the
like
minutes.
when they're on the agenda, they
Yeah, they could
be
click
like
through.
a hyperlink or something, to take it.
I don't know that will be. What are you wanting?
So
Just
Eric's the one that originally.
A
so I'll let him-
PDF on our website that has the same packet that goes to all council members as
So
myself.
instead of just the reading, like they
So
can
they
click
can
a
click
button
through it.
and see what we're seeing.
Yeah.
As far as what everything. is.
So you would want everything in the council packet on the website?
No, a link to take it to there.
Each
Which is no
week,
big deal because you already have it saved as a PDF
Yeah,
So
it would
just
just
link-
link it.
So
to,
you could have Paula upload the stuff now on our
Yeah.
existing.
yeah, it could happen.
yeah, just current council packet.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
It could work on
Although-
what we have.
Although you realize that this stuff only comes out 2 days, 3
Right.
days before
Yeah,
the
that's when
meeting.
we get it. I mean,
Yeah, it would come out when you guys get
Well,
it.
and it shouldn't come out before, but we have the abilities now. I guess we're just asking, is that something we can do? Are you willing to, or do we have the manpower to, or?
Because I can click on the website and get the agenda, but not the packet.
Right.
But you could link
Yeah.
the packet fairly easily.
I mean, we don't need an answer. We don't need an answer right this second,
Give it a shower.
I can help you if you need help. But I think it would be good to have our website at least maybe updated or, something. So if you could set something up for that. And then there are plenty of contractor sites or even local college kids who are getting their degree that would be able to come out and upload that. I mean, shoot, high schoolers can do that stuff now pretty easily. As long as you have that, I would probably start with that.
There's gotta be
Start
some
looking
kids
for
in
a
town.
Something we
that
just
do
have
that.
to,
Well, it's got to be
Budget
somebody that
for
can have
yeah.
pass a background check and that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah,
I mean, 'cause
I mean,
we,
for sure.
You don't think some of our kids can do it?
I'm just saying some of the stuff they're going to see you probably. may not
In
be-
the past, we have used Wendy's daughters came in and done stuff for us.
she's
She
off here soon.
she teaches school. She'll be off for the
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah.
And she doesn't work for me. Alan takes-
Yeah.
Alan has to do
I'm
it.
fine with that because she's done it.
She-
She's done it
She
before.
she
and
is
she's okay.
familiar with.
Okay.
She came in and did a lot of the.
All the scanning of the
There's some
addresses.
scanning
Well,
and some
should we
Do
post
we
that?
need to-
So do we need to post that or anything?
Not for that small of an amount.
Okay, I just,
If it's a
Just
paid
asking.
position, do we need to vote on anything for her, or is that just an employment of the mayor?
She's
or
not even
someone?
an employee. She would be considered
Just a
like.
contractor.
Just an independent contractor, just like any.
Okay,
sit down
perfect.
Computer
So they could
firm
just
that you
pay
would
it out
hire.
That's contracting.
Yeah, we would pay it out of where the website money, where you guys put money in that line item.
Okay.
It would be
All right.
paid out of there.
Something like
Set it up.
if council's good with that,
Yeah.
maybe we bring her in and let her get everything uploaded.
Yeah.
We'll talk to the other company
Looking
and
at-
By the
Yeah,
time she's ready to go back to school, we'd be done.
Yeah.
yeah, and then,
More
yeah,
likely,
because if
yeah.
it's just over the summer, that's easy.
I mean, if it's taken Alan 3 years, she can have it done in 2 weeks.
Right, yeah, I would think so.
Perfect. I think that's
Great.
perfect.
Are you done now,
Um,
Nancy? Oh my
No, the last
gosh.
thing I want is, Mayor, can you put the 5K thing on the app?
Oh,
Just because
For
we're having
tomorrow.
street closures.
that's tomorrow, isn't it?
Yes.
You want this done when?
Tomorrow.
Tonight,
At the end of the meeting,
You know how to do that.
you know what? Just
Well,
take,
I didn't want to overstep.
Mayor, just take Friday off.
Oh,
wait, you already do.
Okay. Okay, so we get the 5K on there tonight. Okay.
Yeah. The very last thing I had, and I swear this is it. Wendy brought it up to me that I inadvertently forgot to, and you guys didn't catch it either. When I did the budget this year, I forgot to add in the money that I pay the DJ for the farmers markets.
Thought he was gonna start doing that for free.
And we didn't have a first one, so it would just be, he brings a lot of equipment and puts a lot of stuff together.
yeah, yeah.
And
Jay's being obstinate.
I know he is. So it'd just be June, July, August, September. So like $400. So I'm just gonna at the next meeting, I'm gonna ask for that. I just wanted you guys to know. And that's all I have.
It comes out of your budget. That's
Does he
fine.
do the farmer's market or the food truck festival?
Yeah, that's already in that budget because
I want to double check that just to make sure, because I know for that one, he charges more than he does for the farmer's market.
300.
For that one.
Yes. And then I had the money for the band in the first one. So I think there's like 900 or something.
We just want to double check just to make sure.
Yeah,
As long as council's okay. with
that's
that.
all I had.
Yay!
Takes food.
Finally.
My list, Walker Point Ditch. They was, Mike's been out there. He's basically got 2 or 3 piles of stuff. He's in the process. He'll be going out probably not tomorrow because of the 5K run, but hopefully this week. Everything's dried up. So he's been piling everything up. He's going to get back in there, get it loaded up, start getting stuff out of there. And once he does that, he's probably going to hit everything with a bush hog and go through it so everyone can see, hey, this has been cleaned up. Take a bush hog over top of everything. There it is. And hopefully, and I told him we may bush hog this. The goal is a couple times a year. But starting out with this, maybe we might do it a little more just so the residents can see this is how it's laid out. This is how it's going to be moving forward. He said some people have already started mowing up to it. Of course, now we also have people who's cutting trees and throwing them back in there right in the right where he's picking stuff up.
Well, he hasn't been back behind my house.
He said he had been back behind your house and
He
had
did?
it all cleaned out.
Okay.
He said, in fact, yours looked very nice.
Well, it's still, well, here's the thing though, back behind my house, there's still big chunks that my tractor goes over and it's gonna end up breaking one of my blades.
Are you on your area or the village area mowing?
Do you really want me to leave 3 feet unmowed? Are you serious right now?
I just asked the
What
question.
was the question?
Am I mowing on mine or the village? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm mowing on the village because it's 3 freaking feet.
Oh, I got
And
it.
the corner of mine goes
You
right
you
up to
may
it,
you
and
may
that's
want to
diagonal.
you may want to wait until he gets back there and gets it cleaned up and bush hogged. And when he says he's done, then you can take a look and see what's going on back there.
So I'm gonna let that all grow up while mine gets.
Obviously, I'm not going to give you an answer you want to hear
No,
tonight.
you ain't. No, you
So-
ain't. I don't even want it bush hogged once a year,
When it
man.
gets high back there, we're gonna give her a ticket for high grass.
Listen here, Jay.
It's 3 feet and 2 inches.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come after all
All right, so
you.
that'll
Thanks, Nancy.
we'll get a update next time.
What else, Alan?
Next item, John Gross is retiring. He's
Ah.
turned in his termination. He is
His
leaving
resignation?
his resignation.
Termination.
Termination.
You're out of here, buddy.
You got to
Get
go.
out of here.
I'm voting myself off the island.
Yeah, his resignation letter after 50 plus, in fact, it says, it's been my privilege and honor to work with the village over the past 50 plus years as the village engineer and village administrator. My relationship with the village has provided me with the opportunity to work with 8 different mayors. Several had multiple terms, numerous different council members, staff members, and attending more than 600 council meetings. It is now time to spend more time with my family and my wife of 53 years. I hereby submit my resignation as village administrator effective July the 3rd, 2025. I wish the village continued success and look forward to it becoming a city of Commercial Point. Respectfully, John R. Gross.
Wow.
So John will be leaving. The way this works is I have to appoint a village administrator and then council confirms the appointment. What I'm thinking about doing is, and I want some feedback from council, is possibly appointing our existing utility plant superintendent to combine that job as village administrator as well. 80% of the village, I'd say at least 80% of the village administrator work is utility related. You have a village, you got a utility plant superintendent, he's over everything. He's been attending all the meetings and he knows what's going on with that stuff. John Gross, we've been using him as a second set of eyes, looking over all the engineering stuff because of his engineering background, which has been helpful. But we're going to be leaning back on Susan and using her. She is our village engineer and we're back to one set of eyes looking at that. Our other option is you bring somebody in from outside, try to find someone that'll do a part-time job for that money and see if they are familiar with the village or have any knowledge of what's going on.
If you appoint someone who already has a job, wouldn't that be considered extra responsibilities and need a raise in pay?
Yes,
Do you have a proposal for that?
I would propose that currently the village administrator is paid $24,000 a year, somewhere in
Right
between
on
there.
Mhm.
I would propose at least $1,000 a month.
Well, Ross, being someone that did that job, what's your opinion? Is that feasible and doable with the amount of stuff we're gonna have coming all the time?
I can't comment on that. I can't,
I'm just asking for your opinion.
we don't have time to talk about that.
I think if he, like we talked today, I think it all depends on if he's gonna feel overwhelmed. Because we don't want him to feel overwhelmed and then we'll start making mistakes or things like that.
Point of order, if I could. You can always appoint him as interim
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
and just give you 6 months to,
He would
Feel
be
the process
probationary
out.
anyways, wouldn't he? If we-
right.
Well,
No,
it's not
we
an
would-
employee.
we would
Because
add
you
You're
may
right.
want to advertise, he may want you to advertise, he may feel that he's overwhelmed.
I
But
think interim-
If you're going to make an appointment and you only have less than 2 months, I think appointing him as interim and giving him a salary bump in the interim would be
Yeah, I like that.
I like that too.
And then
something
posting
for
it.
you all to think about.
It would give us at least a
6
little bit of
months,
time
yeah.
to feel it out.
That
Yeah.
would be by the end
And
of the
he could
year.
have an out too if he's like, this is just too much for me. Then he would have an out.
So
you know.
what, like by the end of the year, be able to have that?
6 months, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
give him interim for
Yeah.
July through December.
I think that's wise.
Yeah.
As long as he
Now-
has the pay bump too.
Yeah, the only question, and I don't know the answer to, is can he hold his current license
That was my question.
and be a city administrator?
That was-
And I simply don't know.
I see.
Hold his,
Was he got a 3 or a 2 or a?
Three.
He's a
Three.
3-3.
well, John Gross held, John's 3
John was
also.
not his licensed operator for here.
Right.
John wasn't the,
Because doesn't the administrator kind of oversee
Okay.
some of the class 3?
What about South Bloomfield, Ross, with Joe Allen? Isn't he the licensed operator there as well, or the operator on
He is,
record?
I believe that he still is. Yes,
think
I
so,
think you're
too.
right. In fact, I'm sure you're right.
I wouldn't You sure? But I just
You
know
are-
that
you are
he
right.
owns-
If
he
that,
owns
and
both
yeah, I
as
didn't think
well.
about that part of it, but yeah, Joe Allen, he is the, well, what, he started at the sewage or the water plant, sewer
Yeah, he
plant,
started
worked
water.
his way to superintendent and then village administrator, and
Yes.
I didn't think about him, but yeah, is
You're
he
right.
operator of record?
Right.
Well, I think the appointing is interim, at least we have somebody there.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's, like I said, I think the biggest thing is the majority of the work is utility related. I mean, yes, there are other things that
Yeah,
they
'cause
have
you,
to deal
you
with.
lean on Susan for all the engineering.
I think that's
Hardcore
where,
engineering.
yeah,
So your engineering bill may go up for the next 6 months.
because we've been leaning on John for quite a bit of the engineering as well. And John and Susan have worked together on a lot of things.
He's not, I mean, the new plan will be on by then, right? Are we still looking at another 30 days? for the new plan,
Yeah,
Sally?
it better be one. Yes.
Yeah, I hope so.
So I mean, there would still be the two of
Yeah,
them
they're going
for
through
that honeymoon phase of that new plan.
They're going through that right now of getting everything turned on, and they've already started that, and they've had a couple little bumps, and I got them ironed out, and it's a 45 day process to get the whole thing up and running, and that's kind of where they're at now.
Well,
They're probably at least halfway
We're in
through
the
that
timing
now.
process, right? Because the permit application and all that with the EPA.
No, the EPA has approved us
That
to
was
go
all-
ahead.
That was
That's
done 2 years ago.
Okay.
that's all taken care of, so that's not an issue whatsoever with that part.
So would you wait and post it after his interim time, or would you post it before then? Because I would hate for him to be like, I can't, and then we have to. So how would you handle that?
Give
I
him a
think
little
we should have a-
opportunity to give him some time.
Yeah,
Let
give them
him
a
think.
check
Yeah,
in
just
time.
And I think Nate is responsible enough. In fact, I wouldn't even suggest it if I didn't think he wasn't. But I think he's responsible enough. If there is a little bit of a problem or if it's too overwhelming, he'll be the first one to say, I don't have time to do both.
Well, how
I
fast
need to
they
back
are.
out. I cannot do it. And the other helpful thing, and I told Nate, I talked to him about this a little bit, and he wants some time to think about it.
Yeah. you
He
may be
hasn't
like,
officially
"No, I don't
said
wanna do it."
that he would take it. At the same time, we now have once again, we're in the situation, well, we've got a plant supervisor. I said, you may have to start leaning on John, our plant supervisor, a little bit heavier too, as this goes on and he possibly steps up. I don't know, like Nancy and I talked today, I see the day coming and it's getting closer and closer where you're going to have a full-time village administrator. I see the day coming where we're probably going to have in-house solicitor
Well,
slash
you're retired.
develop
This could be
slash
your retirement
development
date.
director,
There you go.
where they can come in and meet with all the development going
Yeah, I mean,
on.
once you become a city, a lot changes. You need to have a full-time law director. You need to have a full-time engineer. You need to have, whether it's hired or,
Yes, I just see a lot of that stuff coming down the road
that's
Wow.
all.
and major full-time employees.
Do you think this is the catalyst to maybe think about the full-time? Use this time to maybe that person could be over some grant stuff. I mean, to fill the void for now until more responsibilities come.
Yeah.
I mean, I asked him in January about it, not knowing he's going to retire, but I mean,
Yeah.
I knew the time was not far off.
I believe that's his birthday, isn't
But we're going to cancel it then.
it? So anyway, I just wanted to give council a heads up on that. That's what we're looking at with John. The last thing I have to let council know, I spoke last week with Bob Yoakum, president, CEO of Rockford Homes.
Yeah.
They are going to refile annexation with the county commissioners.
When?
He did not have a timetable worked out yet, but when the county commissioners turned down the village's right to annex, I guess is how you say it, when the county commissioners denied that annexation, you cannot appeal their decision, but you can do what they called a writ of mandamus. And Rockford Homes looked at that and weighed the possibility of going that route with it. They decided instead of going to court with a writ of mandamus, it would be quicker just to refile the application with the county and the village once again. So the last I heard, and this was as of just last week, their intention is to go ahead and refile for for annexation into the Village of Commercial Point. I don't know the dates, times, but when they refile, they would refile with the county and the villages. The process would start over from the very beginning once again. And when they refile, we would have 20 days from the date they file to pass a service resolution, which once again is the quirk of the law, and it requires waiving readings, and it requires the emergency language and so on and so forth. So just to give everyone a heads up,
So how's that gonna work if they would do it and our 20 days is June 2nd, when we're only gonna have 4 of us? Can that happen?
we'd probably wind up calling a special meeting.
It's not gonna be, because today's already what, the
19th.
19.
You could have a special meeting. You would have to call a special.
Yeah, we would have
Well,
to.
But I mean, there's only gonna be 4 available, so I didn't know.
I'm
Bill,
out
is
the
that-
first 2 weeks of June.
Yeah,
I'm
is
just
that-
saying.
well,
I
we have to have-
If you have to have 5 people to waive a reading,
Right.
but if there's only 4, you gotta have 4 council members for a quorum. You can call 3 special meetings. The 4, and then do it.
Oh.
So you could have a meeting on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday if it's posted 24 hours in advance and there's special meetings, even though there's only 4 of you,
And that would be just so we could meet
to meet the state.
the state mandate.
Like I said, and when we did this the last time,
Yeah.
people said, well, you rushed it through. No, we're required to do this within this 20-day window. You either waive the readings or you hold 3 special meetings or however many you need to get
What
the job
happens
done.
If you don't, if you breach that 20-day, what happens? Can you explain that?
If you don't pass it within 20 days,
Mhm.
once again, they can file a writ of mandamus ordering you to
Or they can refile again?
pass the litigation or meet to vote on the litigation.
Yeah, they can
Or
basically
they can
count.
refile.
So it doesn't like die per se. It just.
No, if
they-
if you don't pass it within 20 days,
Mhm.
by statute, it dies.
Okay.
It's a no vote.
But then they take you to court with the.
Then they take you to court with
for
a
not
writ,
doing
and you
your
come
job.
back and you have to put it on the legislation and call it.
I just wanted to know what would happen if we did.
Not voting.
And I bet it's never occurred, but that's
Yeah.
my understanding.
Just wanted it out there.
I think not voting isn't the answer. Voting against it
Right.
if you don't want it. I mean,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to vote. Get it out there, stand up and vote. Either you're for it or you're against the service resolution. But not voting on it just doesn't make any sense because you're not doing what you've been elected to do.
Well, the service resolution is so early in the process. I mean, there's so much time after that when we involve public hearings and all that stuff.
Correct, but
I mean,
it's,
this is just saying,
the
yes.
service
we have it.
resolution is the key to the annexation. It is,
Right.
do you have sufficient public resources for this annexation, yes or no?
And correct me if I'm wrong, they could come to us with no plan and just ask to annex that 390 some acres and then show it to us when they have to. But we ask them to give it to us ahead of time. Am I correct?
I don't know that we asked for it, but I would say, yeah, I mean, anyone can come with a piece of farmland and say,
Right.
can I annex?
And then we're just
We've
saying-
got farmland sitting here. It's been annexed.
And when we're saying services, we're saying we can service it as it sits that day. Am I correct?
Technically, you're saying that you can provide police, fire, water, sewer, electricity, depending on what services you offer as a village, city, town, township,
On that day.
when the property is to be annexed,
Yeah,
correct?
so it's not when it's finished, it's that day. So I mean, with them saying that we didn't have the services,
Well, you have to
The way it
certify that
sits.
you have to certify in the legislation that you have available resources. Let's go back to the last time, right? You're gonna have 300 houses. Did you have sufficient water, sewer for that site? And you all certified that you did, because you got a new plant coming online.
right?
And the township also gets notified the same time, so they have an opportunity to send in, don't they get like a letter so they can
Yeah,
send
they
in,
can do a letter
And they can
as
say,
township trustees.
you know, because they can speak upon their fire.
Correct,
So they also have that responsibility on them.
correct.
So if they come to us with just bare land, then it's how it is. But if they come to us with a plan, then it's for that part of the.
Yeah, do you have enough water and sewer for 300 households?
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure that they're doing more than they have to get that property annexed. I mean, it seems to me, because they could have just come with 394 acres of bare land, get it annexed, and then go through our process. But they're not. They're showing us ahead of time. So
So I just wanted to put that out there. That was the
Yeah.
phone call I got last week. I just want to let everybody know that
we're probably looking.
just because it slowed down didn't mean it died.
So we're probably looking at a special meeting sometime in June. Would be
Not,
my
well,
guess.
it
And we don't know.
depends on when he
Yeah.
files. If that 20-day window falls within a village council meeting, then there's no reason for a special meeting.
Did you talk to the attorney or just the developer?
Just the developer only. And he called and just told me, hey, and he said he did not have a timeline worked out yet or anything.
You want me to give Tom a call tomorrow?
You can
Talk timing. July's better.
see where they're at and what they're doing.
All
So
right.
Any more
that
additional
is all I
business?
had.
Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Meeting is over.
That is Tom Hart, right?
You didn't do your notes.